for 2024. We are in June now. We are discussing the topic in defense of anarchism. That's the title of the paper. But our concern is on how that paper helps us to answer, or if you like, respond to the question whether we should obey the state or not, and whether the obedience the state demands of us, rational human beings, is legitimate or otherwise. So we are questioning, it's a philosophical reflection, we are questioning the legitimacy of the state and its authority, the legitimacy, the moral legitimacy, if you like, of the state and its authority over rational human beings. Okay. Does the state have a right, a moral right, so to speak, to authorize, instruct, prescribe, demand a certain kind of obedience from us as rational and grown human beings? What is our response? My name is Dr. Nancy Miles Bafo Jemfi. And so we are discussing that in the context of the social contract. We have moved from there to individual communitarian debates. We have moved ahead to come and look at what Martin Luther King Jr. thinks about civil disobedience and what the Creto version of Socrates' death thinks about obeying the state and all that. We are at this point going to engage Wolff, Robert Paul Wolff, on his philosophical test that is addressing the question of the legitimacy of the state. That is what he's trying to do. That is what the paper we are discussing is focused on helping us interrogate. Okay. Now, if you look at the paper, I've heard all of you, and I think that it's an impressive, feedback. What does Wolff say ultimately to the question? The man's test is saying in defense of anarchism, statelessness. Not statelessness as in there is no state. No, that is not what Wolff's argument has said. But statelessness as in defense of the claim that the legitimacy of the state is in question. The moral autonomy that the state supposedly wields over us cannot be defended. If we really want to, says Wolff now, Wolff thinks if we are really dealing with human beings, rational human beings for that matter, not mad people, apologies, and not children who haven't matured to reach the state of demanding of them full responsibility for their actions. If we are not thinking about someone who is a man, yes, but mentally sick, and so doesn't have control over his choices. And we are not also dealing with children, but we are dealing with rational adults. If that is our focus, then the state does not, look at your screen, we'll start from the end, watch, does not have the legitimacy, politically speaking, to dictate to rational human beings, adults, on what is morally right and what is not morally right. The responsibility of moral decisions, when we are talking about a grown rational adult, that responsibility is that of the individual and not the state. This is what he wants to see. So he's critiquing, or if you like, he's querying the legitimacy of the state. Come in, he's querying the legitimacy of the state. And so the whole argument line, everything he's arguing for, aims at showing you why he says we cannot have a legitimate state authority. It is not morally legitimate, he says. The state has no moral legitimacy if we are dealing with what? Rational, grown human beings. The state does not have that authority to dictate how rational adults should morally decide. You see that? That is the summary. That's what he's doing. And if you get that, then you will see why he argues the way he is arguing, what the reason is for all the elaborations from having responsibility to taking responsibility, why he distinguishes children and mad people from the rational man that he's focusing on, what he meant when he gave a symbolism about a captain giving us orders and we obeyed, not because the captain has authority over us, but we obeyed because we see reason in what the captain told us. So you validate and self-legislate your moral choices. You do the choosing yourself. Why? Because you're a moral and rational being who must know and must make decisions for yourself. Autonomy, automatic, automated teller machine. It means the machine does the work by itself. Automatic, it does it by itself. Are you following? Autonomy. So what is morally legitimate, please close this window for me, is making the moral decisions yourself. It's called self-legislation. Yeah, you do the legislation yourself. It's not the state or the authority that tells you what you should do. Now, if you saw that, then you will know why he will argue, therefore, that the state has no authority of its own. The state only exercises what it is exercising. But you, the individual human person who is autonomous, don't tell me, Doc, what about children? He has already taken them out. What about if the person has a sickness or is psychologically, we have taken that out. When we are dealing with a rational human being, the human being, rational as he is accountable for making moral and rational decisions, because the rational human being is autonomous. He doesn't take instruction from anyone. Even if, and one of your colleagues did that beautifully, even if someone instructed me, I think it was Ernestina or the brother who spoke last, even if you instructed me, I choose to do what you instructed me to do. After I weigh it, I reflectively engage it as a rational being, I diagnose, I criticize, I genuinely query and see that this is morally okay. And then I do it. So you instructed, you commanded, you ordered, but I chose to do it because I saw it to be right. Then it means I did it. It wasn't you who made me do it. Because if I reflected and engaged it and looked at what you have said and it wasn't worthwhile, morally speaking, I still had the autonomy to disagree. So it is still autonomy. I am responsible for the law. I made that law for myself, even if you instructed me or commanded me or advised me or taught me the law. I saw reason and validated it myself. Now, therefore, if I choose to succumb to someone's instruction or ordering, that someone could be the state, could be the church, could be my father, could be my mother. There are brothers who are married and in the morning they ask their mothers, do you think I should let the woman cook for me or not? And he said, well, let her cook for you. Grown man, like you can make decisions. in your home. You say, it is my mother that said I should go and leave the girl. Me, then I love her. And then when your mother said it, then you too, what did you do? It is my mother that said I should go and leave that guy. And when your mother told you that, then what did you do? They gave me the course. I didn't choose it. When they gave it to you, what did you do? You collected the course. So you are accountable. Don't make it someone else's problem, not the state. Not the state, not your uncle, not your mother, not somebody. They may have advised. Your roommate may have said to you that the guy shoe with the guy with the shoe with it. Can he take care of you? Then you went to leave the guy. Now later you find him and he's so fine out there. And you wish you didn't say, if it wasn't for my roommate, it was you, not your roommate, says Wolff. Because when your roommate said that, you also validated it. You're a rational human being, grown man, grown woman. Why are you going to make it your roommate? It is this girl that made me offended. That's why I insulted my lecturer. I was so angry. Oh, sir. When the person made you angry, you do. You validated it. So take responsibility. There we go. Don't only be a responsible person, but take it. So he distinguishes the two. I'll walk you through I'm just summing up everything. And I'm almost done. Take responsibility and stop checking it. Making it look like it is the state that says we should marry ourselves, even if we have dogs and cats. Dogs can marry cats. Human beings can marry snake. So that is why we are doing it. When the state instructed or ordered or authorized that, what did you, autonomous, rational human being, do? If you do it after you have reflected, reviewed as a moral agent, a being capable of rationality, reasoning, and you reason around it, and you choose to do what the state did, you did it, not the state. Bofe, owo na eye. You did it. Don't say we were authorized to. It wasn't me. You did it because you could have chosen. There we go, choice. After rational deliberation, reasoning, to say that my father says I shouldn't, or my father says I should pour, petrol in the car of the other neighbor, or my auntie said, my mother said I should go and pour poison into that my step brother's food, so that I alone can inherit the property. But if I reason around this thing, I wouldn't have liked it if I were living with my stepmother and they wanted to kill me to get property. So I won't do it. I will bury the poison and go and tell my mother I've killed the boy to give a peace. I'll bury it. It wouldn't have worked. Your mother's cajoling and conspiracy wouldn't have worked if you applied rationality and what? Moral reflection. Don't go and pour it and kill the boy. And then when later on you are repenting, you say, it's not me, it's my mother. My mother told me, your mother told me, I was then what did you do about it? So the philosophical reflection that he does throughout the text, and I've summarized that, is to tell you, you got to take responsibility for your freedoms that you have and your ability to reason safe. Because of those two, you don't only have to be responsible, a state of being, but you have to take responsibility. And therefore, an autonomous being, human being like you and I, will only be living as human beings when we take responsibility, when we act autonomously, not when we shirk responsibility and make it someone else's duty and authorize others to guide us, to instruct us. If it is to guide, so I can choose ultimately, that is still autonomous expression. I'm hearing, so I can reflectively make a choice, a moral one at that. There's no problem with that. We don't know everything on it. You will be taught. The dentist will instruct. The lawyer will advise, because you're not a lawyer. The medical doctor will suggest. Then you reflectively choose. Why you think that this one, I don't have enough resources to make a choice? You can forfeit your autonomy. In other words, your choice, ability to make a reasoned choice temporarily. Why? Because you are choosing to make someone else choose for you because you don't have what it takes to choose directly. It is still you choosing. And Estina said it, choosing not to choose is a choice you have made. So if you reflectively think that I am a wife of this man who has 10 wives, but he's so rich, because I'm the 10th wife, he won't even have time for me, but he's rich enough to take care of my children and give me property that I need, no problem. I can choose, therefore, to submit. You see what I'm saying? I am choosing to become subordinate to someone for a season and a time. It's still a choice. So I'm being ordered and instructed like a house girl because I want to earn a living, gather resources, and become my own self later. That is still autonomy expressed, choosing to be ordered. You chose it. So you are accountable for what comes out of it. This is the point the man is making. Not that you go and succumb to it and say, yeah, I didn't know what to do about it. Oh. It was my madam who said, when your madam said it, what did you do? So I can choose to submit to authority, like the way you are quietly seated, I hope, or standing, or hanging on a tree somewhere. Listen to me. It is a chosen submission to authority. You chose it. What else? Why? You have chosen to submit. So you have decided from your rational thoughts and reasoned reflection that let me sit down. They say take sheet of paper, then you take. Question one, then you write. Start work, then you start. Conclusion, stop work, then you stop. Exam hall, come there, so and so. It's all submission. A submission is not a problem. If you chose to submit, you see that submitting to authority is not a problem at all. Insofar as, this is Wolff, I'm explaining, I'm done. Insofar as you chose to submit, that means you will be accountable for submitting to that authority. You are accountable. You are responsible for allowing the doctor to take your decision making for you. If you let mommy show you what to do and it doesn't go right, don't go and say like Adam did in the garden. It's not me who sent the woman you brought to me. She's the one that caused the wahala. Oh, Adam, is that how you are? When God brought the woman, what did Adam say? Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. That's what Adam said. Wow, bone of my bone. See how this guy got vibes, appellations. Trouble don't come. The woman has gone to commit something. And then when she came to tell you, you didn't stop her. You also enjoyed it. Now, the boss has come, has called the one that he committed that the responsibility to. Think of it like the group leader or the class rep. Why is the class like this? He said, Doc, it's not me. It's not me. You know, the assistant class rep you gave me, that is, you gave me his, you don't know what that means? Adam made God accountable for the wahala that has been created. When he brought you the woman, what did you say? Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. You celebrated it. You have accepted the thing. You have lived with the woman 30 years. I'm speaking to some man this woman. Then something happens and now the woman is sick mentally. 30 years, groomed children. Some are CEO here, some are so and so. Now the woman is going through a problem of a kind. He said, this woman cry, I don't know what to do with her. And she's the cause of all my trouble. Cause of all your trouble. 30 years. When they brought the woman, you like her. You have lived with her all this number of years. It is now that you have realized. So take responsibility for the good. Take responsibility for the bad. That is why as soon as you take responsibility, you will want to do something about it yourself, even as you seek for help. You will not make it someone's problem. God said, oh, sir. Then they asked the woman, Madam, why did you eat the fruit when I instructed that you should eat? She said, it's not me, it's the snake. Do you see what she also did? She wouldn't take responsibility. And we are speaking Wolff, whose argument seems to even be like it seems to be not recognizing any authority. And yet, look at how it resonates well with scriptures, with society, everything. It's telling you. When they asked the woman to, she said, "I the snake." When they asked the snake said nothing. No. Check. Of course, the snake, as we know it in the Bible, symbolized the enemy, the devil. He said nothing. He didn't say, if you didn't create me, if you didn't get angry at me and throw me from heaven, I wouldn't have been evil. No, he kept quiet. And then the verdict came. But do you know where that authority still is? It is with the one who takes responsibility. Yeah. So taking responsibility means I accept that I should have done something about it. I think that I am the reason why this wahala started. I am the leader. I should have stopped those in the group who were not doing this. I should have done this. So, Doc, please, we will see to it that this is not repeated. Dear God, please forgive us. This is not the time to go and say, the woman you gave me. Hey, that is so annoying, eh? Look at Adam's punishment. He will strangle you. The way you dig the earth before you get food. Because they brought you a helper, a help that is meat. You say it is the woman you brought me. You even say it is the woman that did. The woman you brought me. He didn't take responsibility. And most of the time, society is like that. The state instructed, the scriptures instructed. My mother said, I'm referencing the authorities in our lives. The elite in society said this. The prophet told me. And what did you do with what the prophet told you? Apologies to our fine prophets. Some are very fine, helping us, giving us, things. The doctor said, when the prophet told you, then you too, what did you do with it? That is the thing that, Ernestina, that is what we are being advised on, or the gentleman Wolff is doing, reflectively dealing with the subject matter of what? Autonomy versus what? Authority. By the time he did all his reflection, which I put some practical flesh to it for you, he comes to the conclusion, and that is what you see on the screen. And I want one of you to read for me whilst we now end the session. That I'll be walking you through this pages. So let's read the conclusion. Raise your hand if you want to read, please.
Doug, please, you can't see your screen.
I have it. Oh, you can't. Are you sure everyone can see or you can see? Who is talking, please?
Madam, I can see.
There's something on my screen. So just in case someone can see, I will stop sharing and reshare. But I started sharing alone. It's just the title. And I move to the conclusion. Let me stop sharing and reshare. So I've stopped sharing now and I'll reshare. I see only 3 hands up and I don't like it. It is to read. If it is to read, reading it to, thank you very much. I like that. Okay, so it is the conclusion, the dilemma. The dilemma being, if I try to emphasize the authority of the state, it will mean that I am de-emphasizing the autonomy of the individual. That's what I'll be doing. If I make the state's authority a legitimate one, it will mean I am going to undermine individual autonomy, like a seesaw, the one at the primary schools. If I raise one half up, it will lead to the other half going down. And if I raise the other half up, it will affect the other one. So it's a dilemma. That's what he says there. Okay. If we make state authority legitimate, it will mean an automatic illegitimacy of individual autonomy. And if we emphasize what is the obvious, he says, that individuals are autonomous, then it will automatically lead to what? The de-emphasizing of the state and its so-called authority. Morally speaking, it will be illegitimate. Therefore, he makes a conclusion there. If it is the autonomy of the human being that we are dealing with, then the best kind of social arrangement, political arrangement that can coexist with our given autonomy will be what? An anarchist. That use of anarchy means a stateless, where the state is there, it can act like an authority. Everybody can act as an authority, but its authority is not the one that is legitimized. You see, we, the autonomous persons, legitimize, legislate, decide what is morally acceptable or what is not. That's the conclusion he comes to. I would want a very good reader, so let me see. All of you are good, eh? Okay, I will look for Samuel Toku. The angel says I should call Samuel Toku. Get to do baby on standby. Go ahead, Samuel. So please read from the paragraph, the last paragraph on your screen. Sir, please, can you see? Hey, Mr. Samuel Toku, you are not unmuted. Okay, then let me take Gertrude Dogbe. Gertrude, please, can you unmute and read for us?
Hello, madam.
Is it Samuel?
Yes, madam.
Okay, Samuel is okay now. Go ahead, Samuel. We are reading from the conclusion. Yeah, the dilemma.
Yeah, the dilemma which you have posed can be succinctly expressed in terms of the concept of the you state. If all men have continuing obligation to achieve the highest degree of autonomy possible, then there will appear to be no state whose subjects have a moral obligation to obey its command. Hence, the concept of the you legitimate state would appear to be vacuous, and philosophically anarchism would seem to be the only reasonable political belief for an enlightened man.
Thank you very much. You are very tired. You were running there. Sorry. Okay. So I'm sure that all I said is what has been summarized, and this is the point he's making. Philosophical anarchism. It means when it comes to the moral legitimacy of it, we can have states, organizations. So Ghana, America, US, we have the authority of the state. We can have states. He hasn't said we shouldn't have government or state. No, he's doing the philosophy of it. But its legitimacy will always be validated in terms of what? The individual, autonomous, rational beings. Why? Because human beings are not like the stone. Remember Ortega. You can't come and impose. We can also, rational as we are, be able to engage, reflect, interrogate, to tell whether what you are instructing or commanding or imposing is reasonable, reason. Not reasonable in the loose sense of it, but it accords to rationality. You want me to go and put poison in my stepbrother's food so that you, mommy, and I alone can inherit property. What if I were that stepson of, what if you, my mother, were dead and I was the stepson to that boy's mother? Would you like it? Do you know what I just asked? The principle of universalizability, according to Kant. I'm rationally engaging that decision. And if I consider that I wouldn't like it, perhaps it can influence the choice I make after such a rational thinking. Something stones don't have. They can't make such a decision. They can't reflect. They can't choose. They are just what happens to them. So Wolff wants to tell us, look, we are not stones. For us to be just taking instruction, if the sun shines on us, we say, you stone, I'm lying down. If the rain comes, okay, someone can take me, break me into pieces, and I become sand. I don't have a say. No, I'm not the chair at the lecture hall, which someone can turn to firewood in no time. Another one can lift it and turn it to whatever, a striking tool. Someone can come and sit on me, different sizes of bottom, different temperatures. come to sit on the chair, and the chair has nothing to say. Have you seen a chair taking anyone to court? I asked you these questions in levels 100 and 200, for sitting on them when they have not bathed. No, the chair has no say. They just take instructions and do as they are instructed, and they don't question and they don't query. Wolff says, look, that is not human being, rational human being adult. No. Autonomy is what defines man. The ability to self-legislate and validate based on rational thought and choice. And that is what we continually work towards. If your 3-year-old wee-wees herself, in as much as you don't like it, you may give a little spank. But if your 26-year-old son, 26 what? 18 years or 16 years son, wakes up and wee-wees at your hall, and just one hall, the way you discipline that child, it's not the way you discipline the 2-year-old, because you expect a certain degree of what? Responsibility. Hey, now if you want to wee, you can get up. Even 16 hours, 9 years. You will discipline the child. Why? You expect that they grow in their ability to take responsibility. So look at what your colleague read. Please look at it again so that it doesn't become too complex. He did a philosophical reflection. That is my thing. I've opened so many things. I don't know which one I'm projecting, but okay. I think I've seen it. This one. He says, the second line, if all men have a continuing obligation to achieve the highest degree of autonomy possible, we want you to keep growing in your ability. So from childbirth 1 year to 2 years, 1-year-old may even hit, whilst taking breast milk, may even use the hand or the leg to hit the feeding bottle and it will fall down. Poo -poo. Or some hot water that is by the side, they can crawl, and if you're not careful, pour the hot water on the person standing there. You don't go and beat the baby for hitting the feeding bottle, because you don't expect that babies can choose rightly at that level. Even at 2 years, you can take your phone. Remember those examples I used to give you. Drop it in the bathtub and it will splash, and the baby will say bubbles. And it's exciting. When you come, it is your phone you go and take. It's not the baby. 6 months, you are holding stick, going to discipline a child, 6-month-old. I will show you how to respect, elderly people. How can you do this to my phone? If we are all passing, it is you who look at. We are shocked. You are sick. Because the baby is 6 months crawling, or then you have left your phone, iPhone. Where are they right now? 14 or 15 or 16. They will get to 100.
16.
Oh, matter. iPhone 16. That you have bought. Then you go and leave it by the baby. 6-month-old baby crawling. The baby takes it and is hitting the floor. Boom, 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 and likes the sound. But by the time it finishes, your screen, your battery, everything condemned. My sister, when you come and you say you are going to teach this child that next time you should choose you should act rightly. So you are going to cane the child. Then we hear you outside with the cane. Pia! I'm giving you 12 lashes next time. No, I'll make it 33. Pia! Pia! Then the baby, nya, nya. When we come in, what are you doing? I'm disciplining the child so that next time the child will choose rightly. Who is sick? Who has a problem? You, not the child. You are laughing. Then the mad person comes to pull your cloth away. I'm talking about the local bathhouse, not the one that the designer one now. Then you come out chasing the mad person to collect your cloth. You see that these are all proverbial expressions. You say that you are right. The guy is you mad. I don't want to be decorous about it. We want to represent what the man says. There we are done. He's sick mentally. He doesn't control his choices. Oh, you're correct. You come out of the room and 100 meters after the guy to show him that he's wrong. He shouldn't take what doesn't belong to him. With your naked body after the madman in the street. My cloth, I have to cover myself. He has taken my clothes. You are already naked. What are you going to cover again? Why? Because the person is not well. You are correct. That is why you shouldn't take off your shirt at the throttle station to beat the meat. You nice designer legumbrada. Because of one city, which is very important. One city is very important. But the person is not at your level in terms of what degree of autonomy. Why? Let me explain. I'm not saying every mate is like that. At that stage, the person is like a mad person. The person is like a child. And some men are grown up babies. You saw it in the reading. Some sisters are grown up baby girl. They have not matured. How do you know that? They are not choosing. And where they are choosing, they are not choosing based on rational. This is the point. Reasoning, validation, engagement, investing. They don't want to even get their minds busy to do that. This is what Wolff says. Are you okay? You cannot do that. You are a human being, rational at that. And therefore, we cannot legitimize the authorities. Any version of authority is illegitimate. I am so done, and I am confident that we have covered everything. Now, let me show you. So we read the conclusion for you to see what the man is arguing for. Philosophical what anarchism, the philosophy of it, the morality of it, the legitimacy of it. If we're interrogating it, the state doesn't have it. So we will hear the state's instruction. We will hear what religion or authorities of all kinds, the lecturer is saying, like Ernestina said. The lecturer can say so many things. The student, I am responsible for validating, marking it, so to speak, judging, reflectively interrogating to make a decision. So that I made the decision. It's not the lecturer. The instructor, the state, the father, the church, the mother, the dentist, the commander in chief, or whatever. All these various versions of authorization, commanding, ordering, instructing are guiding. They are exposing you to the thing. You choose, and therefore you are accountable, including choosing not to choose. You are accountable. And as soon as you have that posturing, you are living like a human being, not like a thing. Very good. Ernestina, please read from the top. I'll show you places to read so you can connect. If you read the text, then you will find the quick mopping up and discussion very useful. If you didn't read, you are not hearing things. They sound very fine and oh wow, it looks like an interesting paper. And that is not what is that is not what is important. Take responsibility. It means make it your choice. All right. So my lady Ernestina, please start from the beginning. Read the whole paragraph. All those who want to read, keep your hand up. I'll keep calling, okay? All right. The concept of autonomy.
Okay. The concept of autonomy. The fundamental assumption of moral philosophy is that men are responsible for their actions. From this assumption, it follows necessarily, as Kant pointed out, that men are metaphysically free, which is to say that in some sense they are capable of choosing how they shall act. Being able to choose how he acts makes a man responsible, but merely choosing is not in itself enough to constitute taking responsibility from one's action.
My
Taking
dear sister,
responsibility.
just a minute. Just a minute. Everyone sees, do you see the taking, how it is written? It is slanted. It is italicized. You have slanted for emphasis. He wants you to see something that the emphasis is on taking the responsibility, not just being responsible, but taking it. Ujitum se mia, ohio mia keshi me. Kwasa ni mfe ni na ehinoko. Ujitum se nka me. Na ose me ya ade ehu bibi. You tell yourself that I should have done something about this. Doc, please, my mother died, and this is true. I have lost my mom, I've lost my dad. It's not pleasant at all. But after all is done, you choose. David encouraged himself in the Lord. Yeah, nobody will encourage you. Because sometimes God himself, he will be drinking sobolo when you call him. Oh, yeah. Not because he doesn't love, because you have to do the test. He will not do it for you. Ask Jesus on the cross. I tell you all the time. What did he say? Hey, why have you forsaken me, my father? You think he didn't feel forsaken? He felt forsaken. That's why he said that. Because he felt it. The way you will feel it if you know Dr. Miles, the way you are on good terms with her, dear. But as I'm if P then kill. And you can see if P then kill, and you don't know what to do, and the woman is there, she won't write the answer for you. Out of love for you, she won't write it. So you have to take the responsibility and do it. So choose after reflection. Africa. Enough of it was the external people that should have done this, and these people didn't do that. And if they had done this, it would have been this. And what did you do about that? Nothing. I beg you. Look at the lands we have. Every day I say it. I'm saying it all the time. Look at from Accra to Takrade. Look at the greens. What are we doing? Look, grow corn. Grow corn. Any are buying corn farms. We'll get popcorn, we'll get Hausa cocoa, we'll get Mori cocoa, we'll get Akune, Banku. What's the other one? Corn. Asana. Grow it. Grow so many that will not be hungry. Because corn does a lot of things. A lot. From Tom Brown to Nuku. Grow corn here, and then towards the other side, grow granite. Upwards, grow cassava. National farms. Why are we begging hungry? Importing everything. Meanwhile, autonomy, autonomous human beings, you and I. Why are we making equality be someone's fault? Or we are waiting to blame. It's not me, it's the devil. Do you know where the devil is right now? Some of the things some of us do, even the devil is afraid of us. But we say it's not me. You have seen somebody's daughter's bottle. Apologies, shaking left, right. You have planned, orchestrated, gone into the lady without her permission. When they catch you, you say it's the devil. Where was the devil? Brother David in the Bible. Where was the devil when you saw Uriah's wife? I'm talking about taking responsibility, but I want it to be concrete. So from the abstract reflection, I give you instances where people don't want to take responsibility. They want to always check it. They want someone to do it for them. But well, if you let someone think and reflectively make decisions for you, you are still accountable, says Wolff. You're still you can't swerve the responsibility taking. Because it is still you. You validated the person's decisions that they made for you. You did it. You made the king decide for you. You should take it. So if you think that what the king told you, oh, is fine, after you reflectively engage, then you have chosen to do what the king said. It's no longer the king. It's you. Even though he guided and gave the information, you also saw reason in it and took it. And so you submitted to it only because you felt it to be what? Rational. That's why people will be accountable. So what? Don't go and say that God is not me. I said David, King David in the Bible. You saw Uriah's wife bathing. Shouldn't you close your eyes and go inside and say, oh God, forgive me, somebody's wife? You allow the sin to enter your system. When people are at war fighting, you are enjoying free video, you haven't paid. You finish, you ask for that. I'm showing you when you say it is not the devil. As soon as accountability is there, you will pay for it. Do you know that Jesus said, I'll go and die? He said, I'll go and die. If you say you go and die, and you are dying, what do you want the Father to do? That's why the Father called Gabriel to give him sobolo when Jesus was on the cross. Bring me sobolo, add pie, make it hot. Jesus is shocked. Oh, you can eat whilst I'm suffering like that. You said you will do it. Do it. Do you know why? Choose it. I'm showing you principles that people don't say it. And I'm using faith as one of the authorities, you chose to marry the guy, even though you didn't like that kind of a guy. When they gave you the guy, you accepted him. When they gave you the lady, you didn't me now, I didn't like women like this. But my family people said, so you want it to be your family people's reason now? You want them to be accountable now? Well, you are smelling that book. You are smelling the bad breath early morning. You better get used to it and say that I have chosen this kind of a woman. How can I make it the way I want together with her so that I can be happy? Rather than this constant, it's not me. Me, they left me alone. Party, I got this. You are whatever. You will smell that bokusa. You keep making it someone say you are responsible. You are responsible. And because of responsibility, David lost that child. I wanted to use that to show you. Not that God is wicked. You chose. It's not the devil. You chose, says God. Why? Look at the calculative steps. Those who do Bible, I'm sure you have seen it. Mistakenly seeing something you shouldn't see because you didn't go to war. When you are supposed to lead them, you didn't go. Maybe you were tired. He was a great warrior. Okay, no problem. Sleep in the room and pray for them to succeed. You are not praying, no problem. Maybe you are praying that you are tired. You are going to watch environmental. You didn't look anywhere than bathroom. Bathroom swap. Not a man bathing. A woman. When you see a woman bathing, you have to look and look and look until you are looking and the looking looks you. Then you send someone. Look at the time. Send someone, go and call her for me. Why didn't he go himself? Ill motive. I'm showing you choices, validation, and then self-legislation. And why the outcome? why the outcomes? You are responsible. Get your first class. And I pray for you that you do. Amen. Because you can't say, me now, this wasn't the course I wanted to. They gave it to me. When they gave you, you took it. You took it, Auntie. And if you have taken it, do like something. Do They say take sheet of paper, you take. They ask you to take it, you don't know. You say, will you do it again? I'll come. Let's see, I'll come. Keep doing and hit the mark. When you finish and you didn't want to choose to stop it, you are done. Otherwise, when they gave it to you, if you don't want it from start, go and sell wachi. And Timoni wachi who will know you, who will love you. Go and play your football. Go and do music. Chatawali, no, whatever it is. But if you chose to do it, then you got to do it well. Because you are accountable. This is the point. This is the whole point. Okay. So take responsibility. Don't just, apprise yourself and walk around saying, I'm responsible. Masa, to your school fees. If you're going to impregnate someone's daughter, you may not love the girl. It was a mistake. You can't do marriage. Take care of the child. Take the responsibility. Don't do, it was just a mistake. Well, has a child been brought out? Yes. Take the responsibility. That is the whole point. Why? Because you're a rational human being. My lady, do the next half and let's start descending. Yeah.
Okay, madam. But merely choosing is not in itself enough to constitute taking responsibility for one's actions. Taking responsibility involves attempting to determine what one ought to do, and that, as philosophers since Aristotle have recognized, lays upon one the additional burdens of gaining knowledge, reflecting on motives, predicting outcomes, criticizing principles, and so forth.
Well done. Asantoa, please read for me if you are close by. Or whilst Ernestina reads the second paragraph so that you can quickly connect. Ernestina, do the second paragraph. Please keep all the hands up, We'll read. Go ahead.
The obligation to take responsibility for one's action does not derive from man's freedom of will alone, for more is required in taking responsibility than freedom of choice. Only because man has the capacity to reason about his choices can he be said to stand under a continuing obligation to take responsibility for them. It is quite appropriate it is quite appropriate that moral philosophers should group together children and madmen as being not fully responsible for their actions. For as madmen are taught to lack freedom of choice, so children do not yet possess the power of reason in a developed form. It is even just that we should assign a greater degree of responsibility to children. For madmen, by virtue of their lack of free will, are completely without responsibility, while children, insofar as they possess reason in a partially developed form, can be held responsible, that is, can be required to take responsibility to a corresponding degree.
I've said all that. Thank you so much. You're reading very well. This is King James language, the original text. Okay. So you can see that all my examples from the child has wee to feeding bottle and those ones were all meant to show you that as for children, depending on their degree of maturity and their ability to rationally choose, we are able to demand of them a certain level of accountability because they have choice. It's just that they are not matured enough in terms of reasoning. Look at the first part that Ernestina read. In terms of at the top there, you see criticizing, evaluating. Here. Oh, you say, where is my highlighter? Yeah. So from here, they are not able to reflect, okay, predict outcomes, criticize principles, and so forth. That part is where the reasoning part, but children are at least able to choose. But when it comes to the mentally sick person, they don't even have the ability to choose. Asan, get ready, get close by. I want you to read for me, Asantua, my Ubulu sister friend. Therefore, children can at least to a certain degree be held accountable. And I gave you instances. So that should put it in perspective, what has been said in this paragraph. Now, as I read from paragraph 3, every man who possesses. Go ahead, please.
Okay, madam. Thank you. Every man who possesses both free will and reason has an obligation to take responsibility for his actions, even though he may not be actively engaged in a continuing process of reflection, investigation, and deliberation about how he ought to act. A man will sometimes announce his willingness to take responsibility for the consequences of his actions, even though he has not deliberated about them, or does not intend to do so in the future. Such a declaration is, of course, an advance over the refusal to take responsibility. It is at least acknowledges the existence of the obligation, but it has not relieved the man of the duty to engage in the reflective process which he has thus far shunned. It goes without saying that a man may take responsibility for his actions and yet act wrongly. When we describe someone as a responsible individual, we do not imply that he always does what is right, but only that he does not neglect the duty of attempting to ascertain what is right.
Very good. So when we say, very important, but when we say that people are responsible, the brother is a responsible person. The company is looking for someone who is responsible to take up a certain sensitive position. We are trying to show you that not necessarily doing the right thing all the time, because it's difficult to determine what is right in all contexts. But the person makes the act. He doesn't neglect the duty of trying to do the right thing. So, or yeah, attempt, because he's engaging the matter, he's reflecting about, are you sure we should really do this? I think that we could have considered this. So there is what? Look on your screen. I'm highlighting something: investigation, deliberation, reflection. These are of reasoning. Which philosophy equips you with? You investigate, you deliberate, you want to hear from the other person, you reflect on the matter. Why? Because you want to make sure that after all that has gone on, you have tried, made an effort at making the right decision. So you don't neglect that. And that is the act of taking responsibility. After all that, then you choose. When you do that, your choices are inspired by what? Reflection. Asan, if you can do the last paragraph, I'm looking out for some key things. Then the rest will be storytelling for you. Please read this one too for me. Why? The next part, what you see there, the responsible man.
So, madam.
Go ahead, my
No,
lady.
please.
Yes, please go ahead.
The responsible man is not capricious and
Hello.
or he
Andrea, please hold on for a minute. Somebody's microphone is noisy, so I'm muting, or the you can unmute yourself again. Please read from there. Very important. Everyone listen. Please go ahead, my dear.
The responsible man is not capricious or anarchic, for he does acknowledge himself bound by moral constraints, but he insists that he alone is the judge of those constraints. He may listen to the... Okay.
I'm sorry, so I can tell you things when I see it. Now, people think that when we say self-legislate, we should do the law for ourselves. Do the legislation yourself. Autonomous, automatic, automated teller machine, ATM. Do it yourself. They think that will mean that we'll be capricious or anarchic. Look, anarchy, confusion. He's not. He says, that's not what I'm saying. If you are a responsible man, you will make the law for yourself, yes, and I will make it for myself, yes, and he will make it for himself, but it will not be capricious and it will not be anarchic. Why? Look at what he says. For he does acknowledge himself. This is the responsible person, notices and accepts that he is bound by what? Moral constraints. Do you remember Locke? Locke says in the state of nature, where there isn't any organized authoritarian law guiding and instructing us, people are still ruled by what reason? There's moral constraint. That thing bounds us. So it's not a capricious, anarchic confusion. Meanwhile, the paper is titled In Defense of Anarchism. That's why you have to read philosophical texts very well. We are doing philosophy. He's not asking you to go and dethrone government and throw everybody out because the government is not, go to church and tell them, all of you don't have any authority. When your father says, hey, I'm going to make the decision, that's not what he has said. He's trying to prompt you that even as you listen to daddy's instruction, be careful not to go and say it is because of daddy. If daddy didn't do this, and can you say? No, validate it. One kasa, you too, autonomous you, reflect, interrogate, deliberate, ask questions, judge. Someone say, but how will I know if I was just born? You are a rational human being. I've forgotten what Plato told you. You already know. You just need to engage the matter. As you develop in your abilities, remember the conclusion. The thing is a progressive thing, a continuity that we are hoping that the more the choices you are making, and the more you are interrogating and reflecting and deliberating and turning the thing, can this be a universal principle? Could it be that the woman I saw may just be helping the boss, not the girlfriend? Could it be that he's not the thief? We saw him in the area and we had thief. Sometimes when you are going to catch a thief, then the thief rather will shout and point at someone and say, Ewi. Now we are confused. So can mob justice ever be justified? What are we doing? Reflecting. The more you do that, the better it becomes. So he says that you should do that self-legislation. Autonomy, autonomous. And that will not lead to capriciousness and anarchy. That is in the sense of a confusion everywhere. No, because there are moral constraints. You do it within the constraint of what? Morality. But let's go on now. Sorry.
Okay, Doc. But he insists that he alone is the judge of those constraints. He may listen to the advice of others, but he makes it his own by determining for himself whether it is good advice.
Very good. Keep going.
He may learn from others about his moral obligations, but only in the sense that a mathematician learns from other mathematicians, namely by hearing from them arguments whose validity he recognizes even though he did not think of them himself. He does not learn in the sense that one learns from an explorer by accepting as true his account of things one cannot see for oneself. Since the responsible man arrives at moral decisions which he expresses to himself in the form of imperatives, we may say that he gives laws to himself or is self-legislating. In short, he is autonomous. As Kant argued, moral autonomy is a combination of freedom and responsibility.
Well done. You read very well. Oh, why are there, papa, 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 papa? This is King James, bro. Sure, I did it. It didn't work. Thou shall lie. My sister, Kayadioni and Estina. Well done. I put a mark on my file for you. Why? Well done. Now, everybody listen. Everything that Madam read, we have heard it already in my elaborations earlier. So that when we are going through, you see the connections. So we are not capricious. It is only that the laws or the advice or the command that the person is giving you, the supposed authority is giving you, should be seen as objectively true, the way mathematical truths are. It is true out there. It is not like the way an explorer comes to tell me about something that happened in space. I can't envision space because space is not objectively given to me. I'll have to go there before I can. So the person can come and tell, oh, when you go to space, or if you have not traveled before, hey, America, oh, if you go this, do this. So you will listen without having any direct contact with what it says that the explorer is telling you. He says that is not how an autonomous person receives instruction from any version of authority. No, we receive instruction the way we learn mathematics, because the truth of maths, 2 plus 3 and 4 plus 7 and what have you, are not subjective to the one teaching you, where it is only the one teaching you who knows. No, it is objective. So I can also see what he's seeing. He's only helping me see what I could have seen anyway if I apprise my mind to it. Therefore, that is how the autonomous person takes instruction. We are not saying the autonomous person doesn't receive any authorization, but he receives authorization and validates it himself. That's the point Madam read. Okay, those who read and say, text, then is you. That's what we are doing together. Okay, good job. I wrote someone's name, Evelyn Apia Jemfi. Can you read for me, please, the next paragraph? And now, oh, very quickly, please. Maybe I should have given you a prompt earlier. Freeman, your hand is also up. Would you want to read? Get to Dogbe. I called you earlier. I think I stopped you. So get to Dogbe can be on standby. Freeman, go ahead.
Oh, madam, please, I'm here.
You should be back. You should be by a gadget, please. I beg you, okay? I want us to go through the thing. Well, it's a philosophical thing. So go ahead. Carry mommy, auntie. Carry why? It is a submission to laws. Yay, Auntie Ajua.
Madam, please, I'm reading.
Please read.
Evelyn.
Evelyn, read.
It is a submission of laws which one has made for oneself. The autonomous man, insofar as he is autonomous, is not subject to the will of another. He may do what another tells him, but not because he has been told to do it. He is therefore, in the political sense of word, free.
Continue, please. We have said all that. Thank you. Go on.
Since man's responsibility for his actions is a consequence of his capacity for choice, he cannot give it up or up it aside. He
No,
can
read it again. He cannot give it up or read it well. He cannot give it up.
Sorry, madam. He cannot give it up or put it aside. He can
you understand?
refuse to acknowledge it.
Right. Listen, you cannot put down your choice or give it away. Since man's responsibility for his actions is a consequence, a result of his capacity for choice, your ability to choose. So you cannot give it up. You cannot give up your responsibility. or put it aside. So what? You can't put down your responsibility. That is why Adam is still accountable. That is why the rapist is accountable. You can't put it down. Why? If you choose to put it down, you have still chosen. Sister, continue.
He can refuse to acknowledge it. However, either deliberately by or simply for failing to recognize his moral condition. All men refuse to take responsibilities for their actions at some time or other during their lives. And some men so consistently check their duty actions that they
No. Check
present
their
more
duty. Check their duty that they present.
more the appearance of overgrown children than of adults.
I told you that some people won't take responsibility. Sometimes you don't know if they are babies in men's body or what. Okay, they consistently do it. If once in a while, because you don't want to be a talk, please. Oh, it's not me. Oh, it's our group. The people don't want to do. It's fine. If it is once in a while, we are all, But where the thing is consistent, everything you ask the person, not me. Is this better? Is this way? You should have this and this. You say, oh, you are behaving like you're an overgrown child. That one is problematic. Thank you, my lady. Freeman, continue from there. Because of the time, I want us to read a bit faster because I will touch on a few. We have 2 pages left. Just a few things there. Then we are done. Okay. Freeman, read from inasmuch as moral. Gertrude, be on standby, okay, whilst Freeman is reading. Then.
All right, thank you, Doc. So, in as much as moral autonomy
Yes,
is
ma'am.
simply the condition of taking full responsibility of one's actions, it follows that. Doc, please, I can see the other side of the paper.
Sorry. It follows that men can forfeit. Then let me bring it a bit to the middle. It follows that
Yes,
men,
please.
very important point there. So is it better now? So you can see both extremes.
Yes, please.
Go on then.
In as much as moral autonomy is simply the condition of taking full responsibility of one's actions, it follows that men can forfeit their autonomy at will.
Did you hear that?
That is to say that.
Sorry. Class, I hope you hear that men can forfeit their autonomy at will. You can give it away at your will. So you can decide to submit to your husband. You see, at your will. That submission is still an expression of your autonomy because you chose to do it after you validated and saw that such submission will attract love for you and he will do everything for you and blah, blah, blah. So when you reason around it, Charlie, let me succumb. See that? So you chose it, you forfeited it at will. What the pepper? If you did that, you are still accountable. Continue, sir.
That is to say, a man can decide to obey the commands of another without making any attempt to determine for himself whether what is commanded is good or wise.
The one who does that without reflectively doing it has forfeited his autonomy. The second paragraph, the following paragraph to that tells you, if you forfeit, so when you read, look out for that. Look at it, it says this, but refusing to engage in moral deliberation by accepting as final the commands of others, he forfeits his autonomy. You see, you gave it up. But take note of this. Sir Freeman, read this one. This is an important point. Read it.
Okay, please. This is an important point, and it should not be confused with the false assertion that a man can give up responsibility for his actions.
I hope you can see that. This should be even after. This word should be even. The devil's something,
Yes, please.
This word.
Even
Please,
after he has subjected himself to the will of another, an individual remains responsible for what he does.
Perfect. Don't continue. That is the whole. No, don't worry.
Moral deliberation.
Please don't worry. The point has been made for that paragraph. So if you forfeit it, don't think that you have given away your responsibility. In other words, you are no longer responsible. You are still responsible. That's the whole point there. So when you read and it sounds like the whole thing is some way, this is what I've explained to you from the text. Now, the next paragraph after that, this one tells you there are many forms and degrees of forfeiture of autonomy. You can let someone else decide for you in many ways and many forms. So he gives you, look at this. Please look on my screen. What word have I highlighted? Let me see if people see.
There are many.
There
are many.
Okay, what I've underlined now? See.
Legal
counsel.
Very good. So you are seeing, very good. So I can forfeit autonomy when it comes to the lawyer. I'm going to the lawyer to advise. I don't know law. So I can let him decide or advise or guide. Look at the other one. Can you see this one? Please, I just highlighted something else. What is it?
No, please see.
Madam, please, you haven't highlighted my
health.
My health, doctor. At the top of it is the word doctor. You are not a medical practitioner. So when it comes to some of them, you may have to forfeit it. The forfeiture here is you are allowing the person to guide, but you are still responsible for the outcome of that decision. You are forfeiting because, see the last word, I'm just underlining something else here. Watch it and tell me, what is it?
Technical
expertise.
Very good. I don't have the technicality. That is why you are sitting there listening to Dr. Miles walk you through Robert Paul Wolff's paper, which we have been quoting and quoting and quoting. You see? Because there is a technicality to it that perhaps you don't know. So you will receive guidance, but that doesn't, what's the expression? Exempt you from what? Accountability. That is the point of what your class read well for us. Gertrude, are you there? Please read. I've called you several times so that it doesn't look like I'm leaving you out. We are finishing, so you can go to your next class. Since the concept of, read from there. If you delay, and I still now read so that we can go quick. Since the concept, Getty, are you there? And I still now read for me. Forgive me, all the hands up.
Since the concept of taking and forfeiting responsibility is central to discussion which follows, it is worth devoting a bit more space to clarifying it. Taking responsibility for one's action means taking the final decision about what one should do. For the autonomous man, there is no such thing, strictly speaking, as a command. If someone in my environment is issuing what
are intended as commands,
and if he or others expect those commands to be obeyed, that is commanding me to do.
That fact will be taken account of in my deliberations. Yeah.
But it's looking small though.
Don't worry. You can see it. Okay. Who can see clearly? Asantua, can you see it? Go ahead. That's what we now. Go ahead. Go ahead. I may decide.
I may decide that I ought to do what the person is commanding me to do. And it may even be that his issuing the command is the factor in the situation which makes it desirable for me to do so. For example, if I am on a sinking ship and the captain is giving orders for manning the lifeboat, and if everyone else is obeying the captain because he is the captain, I may decide.
Hold on, my lady. Just a minute. They are obeying the captain just because he is the captain. See that is in italics. They obey, if they are only obeying because he's the boss, then they are making him the boss over them. But I may decide, look at what follows. I may decide that under the circumstances, I had better do what he says, since the confusion caused by disobeying him will be generally harmful. But insofar as I make such a decision, I am not obeying his command, his, or no, no, that is not what I'm doing. That is, I am not acknowledging him as having authority over me. That's not what I'm doing. I would make the same decision for exactly the same reasons if one of the passengers had started to issue orders and had in the confusion come to be obeyed. It means that it is not because he is the boss in Chikeke, but it is because what he's instructing us to do as a commander is the rational thing to do. If we don't obey, there will be confusion and chaos everywhere, which is not the rational thing to do. So we take orders even if we feel that we shouldn't allow anyone to make a decision for us. Autonomy. We'll take orders, but only because we see reason. And not because they're thinking, hey, doc said this. Yes, she's a doc, and we respect her for being the doc, but that is not the reason why I will do anything she says, keke, just because she said it. No, I have to see reason in what she said, reflectively engage that, and choose, so that even if it was another person, so sometimes people will say on a platform, oh, I didn't know it was you, doc, and I'm worried. So it should be me before you accord courtesy. What about your colleague? Is he not a human being as well? If you see that what you did or what you said or how you approach something, because I am the lecturer or he's the TA, is wrong, come in. Then, by the same principle, it should be wrong, it should be inappropriate if you addressed it to a fellow colleague, because it is wrong, it is wrong. It's not because of the person. You see how people will start being nice to you when they realize that, hey, this fine sister who came to say, not knowing she's a doctor or she's a judge at so and so. Hey, oh, hello. Meanwhile, some minutes ago when he said, oh, please, can I get a wait outside. Please, wait, I'm busy. The next minute, when they find out that you are the one who has done this and that and that, oh, hello, mommy. Let me say, well, mommy, we're fake, mommy. Fake. Value, respect, choose because the thing is valuable in itself, and not because of the person's authority or his. Because it means if the person is no longer in that place of authority, you will not accord them that courtesy, even if the thing was a rational thing. Okay. So in politics, look at the down part there. In politics, as in now I've taken 5 minutes of your time. 3 minutes so far, I'll take 5. In politics, as in life generally, men frequently forfeit their autonomy. Now he's focusing on the direct question, the state. There are a number of causes for that, why people forfeit. Some will make it, the state said, they said that we should do this. The judge said this. Then they do so. And so people, and then he talks about the elitism. So look at Plato's thing, showing you instances, some will appeal to, the Bible as an authority, or the Quran says that we should do that to you. That's why we are doing it. The bureaucracy, the arrangement, the sophisticated. Keep looking on your screen. I'm highlighting for you. These are all instances showing you where people are allowing what authorities to dictate. Last reading. Bear with me. I want a very fast, smart reader. The reason I'm doing that is so that you can have the confidence that you know the text very well. Some of you may form long essay ideas. Look at this. The moral condition demands an acknowledgement. Commands as we may obey. When you are obeying, you should be the self-author of that obedience. Keep looking. The conflict, therefore, is between state, which has authority and the right to rule over you, versus the individual who has autonomy, keep looking, and the right to refuse to be ruled. See the tension? That's what he's addressing. You cannot therefore go and make the state have an authority that is legitimate over the individual's decision. When you do that, you have undermined autonomy. Doesn't mean there shouldn't be states. There should be states. There should be churches and mosques. There should be fathers. Fathers should mentor. People should instruct. There should be doctors. There should be lawyers. All the authoritative, there should be lecturers. But we should not obey the laws of the state simply because they are the laws of the state. That's the point he's making. We should obey the laws of the state because we see them to be what? Rationally correct. Therefore, it will be our law. I will comply with them, keep looking on your screen, with the law under certain circumstances. Whether it is the law of my state, America, or if I traveled to UK, sorry, and came back. See that? This is what he's saying here. I will obey the laws because rationality shows me that they are working well. If they are not working well, I will resist it and rationally ask for a revision. I won't just obey and authorize and allow the state's laws to dictate to me just because it is the state that is saying so, whether the state I come from, America, or the one I visited, Great Britain. And this is what your colleague read. My friend who read the first, the conclusion, if you are there. If not, I could ask, let me see. Some of you's hand were up for long. Not
Yes, madam, I'm there.
Go ahead, read the conclusion again. That is how he ended. So read it again. Thank you, and then we are done.
The dilemma which we have posed can be succinctly expressed in terms of the concept. Hello, madam, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Pa. The concept of a de jure state. Go on.
If all men have continuing obligation to achieve the highest degree of autonomy possible, then there will appear to be no state whose subjects have a moral obligation to obey its commands. Hence, the concept of the due legitimate state would appear to be vacuous, and philosophically anarchism would seem to be the only reasonable political belief for an enlightened man.
Thank you very much. And that then will end the paper. I put some slides to summarize the points for you at your resource too. They are there. If I had time, I would have gone through those slides as well. But I think almost everything on the slides, we have engaged them very well. We will have the 2 sessions going for. Let me take that off. That is for just City Campus. So thank you. Let me end our recording so that my students don't get confused. I'm asking me, Doc, the afternoon one, where is it? Where is it? So we are ending so that I move on.